welcome back to Opal&Mint. I am Ashley.
I'm Kylie.
And welcome to the final day of Watercolor Month, A Flower Every Day. I cannot believe this month has already gone by. And for those of you who are newer to the channel, new this month, this is my sister Kylie.
Hi.
She's actually on the channel a lot, but this month was kind of crazy and it was all about watercolor and flowers.
And I've been sick.
And she was gone for camp. She was sick for a few weeks, so she's been gone.
Most of the month.
Yes. So I wanted to introduce you to her face before we painted the final flower. Before I painted the final flower. This is Kylie. If you continue to watch us, I hope you do, but you'll be seeing this face quite a bit. She comes on. Our next video is actually going to be a goofy one. So yeah, make sure you come back for Saturday's video because that's going to be entertaining. But this is Kylie. This is my baby sister and I adore her. So we're going to be painting our sketched detailed flower today. And I'm going to walk you through the process. And today we're doing a peony flower. I finally made my decision on what we're painting. So yeah, let's just go ahead, turn the camera around and start painting. All right, so all this month we've been doing quick, loose, beginner-friendly flowers from the Flower Color Guide, this book right here. And we have done 30 flowers from this book. We've used quite a few pages in here and done several flowers. I love this book because it's simple and you can see the flowers very well. It's a really good reference book. But I decided to go ahead and show you one other book that I have and use for reference. And that's what we'll use today for our peony flowers. Now, this is like a cute little baby book. This is like the monster of plants and flowers. This is the Encyclopedia of Plants and Flowers. Now, the photos in here are not as good. I would say they're good, but coming from a photographer, I don't prefer these as much as those, but there are a bunch of things to look at in here. So, like we have lots of options. And there's even a bunch of leaves and different types of plants. So if you're looking for something that has a little bit more to choose from, then this is a really good book because it does have quite a few pictures. They're not bad pictures. I don't know why it's a white background. It's just the flower. Yeah. Yeah. But this kind of shows the leaves that are around it. So that's good too. So anyways, this is a monster of a book. It's probably like $40. I'll link it if you're interested, but this is what I'm using for my reference photos today. So I'm going to walk you through the process of sketching this because I want to put my sketch in the description somewhere where you can use it as a starting point if you don't feel like sketching it yourself. Because honestly, this took me all weekend to sketch, and I had many failed attempts, and I will show you that. So these are the two reference photos I decided on, and I think the first thing that is really good to do, I think this picture is from the Flower Color Guide. I literally took a picture with my phone and I printed it. And then these two are from here. But I highly recommend if you are unfamiliar with sketching flowers and kind of the anatomy of flowers, trace it. One, it gets your kind of muscle memory of what the different shapes in the petals, how they're shaped. It kind of helps your brain wrap around what it actually is that you're going to, because when you get the blank piece of paper, you're like, what do I do? So we're going to talk about sketching and doing your circles and your simple shapes, but also just print it out, trace the leaves so you can, what are these called? Petals. Trace the petals so you can see kind of where they all lay and all of that. So I did that and I did several of them. I have these all over everywhere and I just took a big fine liner. It's a big fine liner. And I just traced where all the petals were. So that was step one. And then I'm going to show you my first draft. I decided that I wanted these two flowers. And again, these are just reference flowers, so they don't have to be exactly like it. But honestly, if you wanted to just print this out, trace it, and then transfer that to your watercolor paper, no shame. I was going to end up doing the same. Like, I was getting really frustrated. But I finally got a sketch I was okay with. So I'm going to walk you through how I did this sketch. I have an open flower and a little more closed off flower, and then we have some leaves. I'm going to show you what we're going to do with the background. We'll get there. But first off, I did a circle for the inner circle. For the inner portion of the flower, I drew some guidelines. So we have a circle here, and then a circle here. So should I show those a little bit better? So we have circle, and we have a circle. So you'll see there's more space at the top, less in between these, because that's how the petals are. These petals are shorter, these are longer, okay? So I used that as my guide and kind of used it to see where those petals go, and then just did the general shapes. And there's not the exact number of petals. I just sketched it as a reference and not like exactly. So it's close, but not the exact same. And then the same with this one. I have a little circle here for the inner portion of the flower. And then I think I just did, no, there's two. There's one here and one here. So you can see the different layers and then like the edge of where your flower will be. Okay? So I highly recommend tracing if you're unfamiliar with flowers, and then do a little sketch, and then I've transferred this onto tracing paper. So I did my tracing paper, and now we're going to put that on our watercolor paper. Okay? Did that make sense and give you enough information? I hope so. One reason I don't like the photos of these in here is the light on this is really, really harsh, and I don't want to paint it exactly like this. So you have the freedom to paint it how you want, but like this has really, really harsh shadows, and like this one's softer. This one's really harsh. So like the lighting isn't consistent through the photos of these. That's one reason I don't prefer, but a lot of these are beautiful. This particular one, it's like washed out in spaces. So, and I'm probably gonna do slightly different colors. I want like a really pretty coral with a little bit of yellow, and so this is just our starting, okay? This is just our reference. Okay, so this is page 228 of the Encyclopedia of Plants and Flowers. If you happen to already own this monster, options. You have options for tracing this onto, okay, see, I did several. And I even did several on tracing paper to see what I liked. I actually even started painting this one. I can show you that later. And I decided it was too roughly and too much chaos for us to try to do in today's video. I think it would be a little bit too much for this one. Over and over again, trace them, get familiar with the shapes of the leaves. Okay, so how do you get this onto here? Very good question. I'm glad you asked. One way, which is the way I usually do, is I put a carbon transfer paper under it, tape this on here, and then you just go over your lines and it transfers your sketch. Another way, if you do not have transfer paper or carbon paper, you can just take your sketch. So say you sketched it on a piece of printer paper. If you take the back of it and you just scribble all in the back of the paper, I wouldn't do it on trace paper, but printer paper, you scribble so there's pencil there. When you go over it, it'll press that pencil onto the page. So if you don't have the materials that I have, that's one way you can do it. You can just print out the flower or reference photo and scribble on the back of it and trace them. Simplest way. So I'm gonna grab my carbon paper. We're going to transfer this on here and we're gonna start painting. So I went to, I wanna note, this is my Fabriano soft press paper. It's one of my favorite papers. And it is, I have it cut out bigger than the final painting will be. So by like several inches. So I'm going to put the shiny black side down. Now, if you touch this at all, it will transfer this carbon onto this paper. So we're gonna try and be careful. And then place this where you want it, tape it down and start going over it. Don't always tape it down. Sometimes I trust myself to just hold it still, but I don't recommend that. It's not a good plan. I mean, you can always fix it and adjust, but if it moves, sometimes it's harder. Okay, so I'm just going to tape that there. That's about where I want it. Okay, now I take my dotting tool, which we have used this entire month, and I'm going to just quickly trace over this. Let me speed through this process. And again, if you touch it anywhere, you can transfer that. So just be mindful of that. Yeah. Sometimes I look back and forth and I'm like, I don't remember. I can't see it all. Does that look?
Yeah.
Like I got it all?
I think so.
Okay. All right, so let's take this out, and you can double check before you untape it. And again, these are your guidelines, and we're going to erase them as much as we can as well, so we don't want them showing through. This one is a little bit more detailed and planned out, but I have not painted this exact thing yet. So we will still go through some trials in this video, and we will figure it out together. So another thing I like to do before going in on the painting itself is I like to swatch out the colors that I'm thinking about using. So I need some swatchy papers on the third one down, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this isn't the exact same paper, but it's fine for what we're using, what we're doing. We're going to just watch out some colors that I would like to use. So one is obviously cad yellow. And I say obviously, if you've watched my videos, you would know this is my favorite yellow. So we were definitely going to be using cad yellow medium, using Daniel Smith paints. I want kind of corally color, but very pink, somewhat leaning coral. So I want to use probably Quin Rose for sure. Woo. So we've got quinacridone rose. And then the green I want to use for the leaves. I can't not use my favorite. Serpentine Genuine Green is just my all-time most used green from Daniel Smith. It has some pretty granulation. It's a beautiful, just planty green. You know what I'm trying to say? It's plant. It's plant. And then I want to see what the mixture of cad and Quin Rose look like together to see if we have like a peachy kind of color. That's not bad. I want to add a little bit, let's see what Rose Madder looks like in here. If we did some Rose Madder and a little bit of Quin. Do I like that coral better? For pink, do we like Rose Madder or do we like Quin? This is Rose Madder. So if I used Rose Madder and I mixed in, let's actually mix in a little bit of lemon yellow and see what kind of coral we get there. That's a beautiful coral. What do we think? Let's do one more combination. We got Rose Madder. Let's try New Gamboge. That one's really orange. Okay, so my colors are cad, Rose Madder. Whoops, that's Rose Madder and lemon, or cad, because I didn't clean my brush. Here's Rose Madder by itself. Got Serpentine. All these are beautiful. And then lemon and rose.
The watercolor is pretty.
Yeah.
The watercolor.
Okay, I think this is our color palette right here. So swatch out your colors to see what you want, and I think that's what we're gonna do. There is gonna be some portions of this that have some deep in the middle, some really deep pink. So I will probably mix my Rose Madder with Sodalite Genuine. Let's see what this looks like. Oh, that would make it really purple though. Oh, you beautiful though. Ugh, no, I can't do that. That's too purple. Let's take Rose Madder with, where's Hematite? Where are you at? We'll play around and see what we got. Okay, so let's put the swatches to the side. Now I'm gonna take my sketch here. I got my kneaded eraser and I'm just gonna roll it across my sketch. I want to be able to see this a little bit, but I don't want it to be so dark that I can see it through my final painting. And if you do have some sketch marks that you see through your painting, not the end of the world. Okay, we're going to start by wetting the entire page, and this is going to give us a nice wash. I want to start with kind of the background and the light values of this, but I'm going to show you, normally I would do a drip background, and then this entire month we've done splatter backgrounds, but this one is going to be a new one for me. Something that I recently saw and I really like the look of it. So we're just splashing water everywhere. Ooh, we lost a bristle. Okay, now I'm gonna take a little bit of the coral mixture and I'm just lightly, very, very, very watery, light amount here. And then also a little bit of my green here and there. So just kind of giving a washed out background here. Okay. Trying not to make the background too busy. We don't want too much going on, but just enough. Light wash. Okay. Going to lift where the roses are slightly. And then I want to tap my either paper towel or whatever you're using for your paint brush. I'm going to lightly tap the edges of that wash. Okay, and this might be the first layer of this. We might do another one, I'm not sure. But we just want to lightly tap so it kind of like fades into the background, has nice smooth edges. A little bit more up there. And just like lightly smooth out those edges. Just like that. Okay, I know it doesn't look like much yet, but this is, again, the background, and we're going to dive into this now. All right, let's get a small brush. I'm going to take my Creative Mark round Kolinsky Sable Rhapsody brush. That was a mouthful. And we're going to start with the yellow center. So I just kind of want to see how far the yellow goes. So what we're going to do is we're going to do little yellow marks, and then we're going to fill in between those with dark pink, okay? So let's get our yellow. And we're just going to start putting little yellow squigglies, kind of where we had those squiggle lines. Some do them dots, just make it a little bit chaotic. Random coming out, whoops, out from the center of the flower. Okay. All right, just like that. Ready? And then we're gonna go ahead and put the yellow on this one as well. So this one, it has it just coming up over these petals right here, a little bit like, I don't know, the word escaped me. All right, so we're just gonna take, I got paint on my arm and then on my paper. It's fine, it's all good. And then just where those petals are, we're just gonna put in some little spiky, pokey, yellow marks. All right, makes sense? We're good, we're doing great. Okay, I want that to dry a little bit so it doesn't blend too much when I do the dark pink next to it. So we're gonna go ahead and move to a fun part so that we can kind of see some progress. So we're gonna do the leaves that we have because those are fun and they're easy. I'm taking a cat's tongue. You can use a round brush, you can use filbert, whatever you are comfortable with. And I am just going to, since we have it kind of traced out for us, it's really easy to place them. And we're just gonna put our green. Now my background is a little wet, so it's blending a little bit out, but that's okay. I'm gonna come back later and put more detail on them. So if it's bleeding too far, you can always just kind of wipe it up. So just put in some leaves. These are going to frame our flowers. Put a little bit darker on one side. That's pretty. I feel like making this one a little bit wider than the sketch. So here we go. All right. And there's one more leaf here. And let's see here. Perfect. So I'm just going in with different amounts of paint. I'm going in about a medium consistency, and then I'm going to go in and get some thicker paint just for one side of the leaf. So keep in mind, we're doing these more detailed than our loose style, but these aren't going to be like hyper realistic. So I don't want you to, I still want you to try to not stress out over this and not, why do I have to rev their engines on that road? Not worry too much about making it hyper realistic. We're just doing a little bit more detailed. Okay, this is still supposed to be relaxing. Okay, I think I want to do the other leaves later. These are a little bit more wet, so we're going to go on to the center of this flower. So I'm going to mix up some rose madder and, whoops, that was Quinn. I'm going to need to fill this pan up soon. All right, and then I think I am going to take, actually, is this Piemontite? No, I want to use ones that you might have. Okay, I'm going to use lamp black, just a touch of it because it takes over and is dark. Okay, so we're just going to very carefully go in between those yellow bits in the center, okay? So we want to, you could, if you, well, we've already started, so you can't, but unless you haven't started, you can mask the yellow bits off with masking fluid and add them in later. That way you could just color this all in dark and then do those. But this way works as well. You just have to have a small brush and just be careful not to cover up all of that yellow that you put down. Just have a nice thick amount of paint on your brush so that you're not, it's not just blending over all of this yellow, okay? Okay, now as I'm getting to the outer edges of it, I am rinsing my brush off and I'm going to kind of fade out that dark color. It is very purple. Add a little bit, that rose madder, a thin wash of it on my brush as I'm fanning out this, so that way it stays pink. Go coming out of that center. Okay. All right. So I washed my brush off, tapped off the excess water, and I just want to kind of soften the edge of this. Actually, I'm putting a bunch of water on it now because I want to soften it out. And then I'm going to do the same thing we did and just tap around the edges of it so that that is soft. So we can go in and individually do each petal from here on so we can control the values a little bit better. I just put my entire arm in all of my paint. That's nice. Okay. So let's do the interior of this one, and I feel like I want to add a little bit of the lemon yellow into my rose madder before I do a touch of lamp black. Oh, that took over. Because I want to keep it a little bit more on the coral tone. This is the mixture that I really want. Okay, so just make sure you are outlining these petals that are right here meeting up to the center, so you'll be able to see the shape of those petals. So this is going to be our darkest spot. Make sure you're not covering where those petals are. And don't cover up the yellow. Go around it. Okay, rinsing off my brush and put water up right above it and then kind of touch it to all of that so it kind of fades out. Okay. All right, we have center of a flower on both of them. All right, so that we feel accomplished, we're gonna do a petal. And I think actually I wanna start on this one, this petal right here. So we're gonna take rose madder and lemon yellow mixture, more rose madder than lemon yellow. And we're gonna start at the bottom of this petal. Make sure you get the outline good. Okay, getting a little bit of water on my brush, and I'm just going to kind of fan this, whoops, changing the shape of it, it's okay. Nothing to see here. All right, so I'm going to go into straight rose madder now, fading up into this pink. Rinsing my brush off, we're getting just mostly water now, and gonna fade this up to the top of this petal. Again, just outlining, going where the outline of this petal goes to. Okay, and you're basically going to do this for each individual petal. So you're going to look at one petal at a time. You're going to start, in general, you'll start with the base of the petal being darker and then fading up to lighter. I feel like it's not quite the exact color I want. I'm adding a touch, oh, there it is. I'm adding a touch of opera pink because I wanted it to be a little bit brighter. That's beautiful. And I know it's a fugitive color, but I like it and it's really pretty. So, all right, so there's our base. I think it needs just a little bit darker even. I'm gonna go just lamp black. No. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that rose madder and our green mixture, so our green serpentine and our rose madder, and I'm gonna put that now at the base of this petal. All right, we're gonna let that dry, leave that one alone, and we will come back and do another layer. We're going to just do that all the way around, and we're going to, you wanna lift a little bit of color. So you have some highlight there. There we go, okay. Just make sure you like skip one and kind of skip around so they're not touching and they don't all blend together. And you can add just different varies of hues. Don't make it all look exactly the same. So I'm actually gonna come over to this one. Start here with that more muted color. And then I'm taking my rose madder. Outline this. Fill it in. There we go. And then I'm gonna lift a tiny bit of highlight there. Pretty. All right, so we're gonna just keep on keeping on, and we'll get to this one in a second. This one I think is a little bit easier, so we're starting off here. So what's going to show the shape of each petal will be the shadow of the petal behind it. Behind it? Yes. No. That'd be a behind, or that sounded funny. Okay, so I took Just Rose Madder on this one. We're getting closer to the top. I want them to get a little bit lighter. Kind of fade out into this soft pink right there. Okay. Is it turning into a peony? How are y'all doing? Are y'all painting along? Okay, I want to tackle this. Okay, so this back one here. We're going to take, this is a turned over spot. It's a petal that's folded over. So I am going to fill this in and then we're going to lighten it after. But I want to get the shape of this fold over in there. And then I'm going to dry my brush off and kind of lift some of that. So it's just a pale color. And then this underneath part is where we're gonna do a nice dark pink, okay? So we're gonna leave that there to dry. Let's take our mixture here. We're gonna start putting in, this is pretty dark through here. Still kind of like the inside of the flower, kind of fading it up to where we painted the inner part. This is underneath some of these petals. So after we have all these like base fades on these petals, we will go in with a fine detail brush to do really light veining marks and add a little bit of the deeper color on the base of this one. You can even kind of do a little bit of marks that will fade out into it if you wanted. So we need to identify where the fold overs are and where's underneath. So this is a folded over one. Those are going to be lighter, and then underneath them is going to be deeper. If you want to see a video on a little bit more on the sketching part of this, because I just didn't have time to go through all of the sketching and the painting, it wasn't really possible for this. Let me know if that's something you want to see. Bit of a deeper color there. Okay. All right, so I think I want to move from this one and start on this one. I'm fixing to have to go get my son, so let me at least get one petal done on this one. All right, so we're gonna start off with the rose madder, and we're just gonna go on this one giant petal right here. And just gonna kind of fill in this all the way down to where we did the center. And then fade this out to the top of this petal. Same process. Okay, and then going to put a little bit more depth here and here, coming out of that petal. And I want this to stay a little bit loose. I don't want to fuss with that. So just put a little bit of darkness there, and you could do your dotting tool lines if you want, but we're going to go in with paint in a little bit and do those. So let's do one more on this one before I have to go. I think we'll do this one, and I'm going to put water down first so I can map this out kind of where it's going. So this right here is the fold over, and this is the underneath part. So we're gonna get the underneath part first. So I'm gonna come here, put in a little bit of darkness there, and then I'm just making sure this is coming out to the right shape and matching up with that. Okay, because there's another petal right here, so we don't want to cover that. Okay. This actually, now that I'm thinking about that, needs to go dark all the way here because that's underneath the fold over. So make this actually dark. Make the whole thing. Okay, washing off, and I'm kind of just smoothing this together. Oh, it looks like there was another little petal that was like joop 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 here that I missed. I think I erased it too much. Well, I don't really know. Or is it that one? Oh, it's that one. I don't know. I didn't sketch this exactly like the photo, so I'm like, what was my idea here? Oh, that's that. I may need to go in and make those darker so I can see what I'm doing. Okay. So there's that. It looks like I have time for one more. Okay, I think what I want to do is, so I don't lose these like sharp ones that are coming out, these like jaggedy, I'm gonna do the petal behind it. So I'm gonna outline this shape here for this petal that's behind it. Washing, tapping brush off, going to fan this color out to the edge of this petal. Okay. And oops. And I'm just going to tap a little bit more depth right here. This is kind of behind this petal. Right there. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna have to go and pick up my son now. So mine is going to dry before I continue on. But I think we have a good start. Oh, there's another one. Hold on. I see another line that I want to emphasize now while my brain is braining on it. That makes sense at all. So I'm gonna go like this. Okay. And then just blend this out. To the edge of this petal. Okay. So the day got away from me, and I'm gonna have to get this finished another time, as my son will be here soon. Okay. Okay. All right, so I'm going to let this dry and we'll be back to finish the rest. I've just done rose madder. I wasn't liking the mixture of colors. I might add in some other colors to do the depths of this when we do more layers. But yeah. Before I leave, I do want to actually do these other leaves just because I want them to all be done. So let me see here. There was one in the front that's skinny. Like so. Do this one. Okay. Actually, I'll let that dry and do the background one later. And then let me get these two right here. Okay. All right, so there are the leaves except one. And we're gonna leave it at this and we will come back and finish it. All right, so it is the next morning. I was not able to paint anymore yesterday after I got my son, so let's keep on going. I'm just going to continue filling out all the petals in the same way, and then we will talk about the details. All right, guys, I am back. This is day 3 of trying to get this painted. I ended up having to go to the emergency room yesterday and did not get this finished. So I am back home. I'm okay. I am still in some pain, but we are going to finish this and get this up. I don't know if it's going up on the day it's supposed to be, but it'll eventually get up. So, last where I left you, we did all of the petals, started at the base of them and faded them out, which I'll probably go back and do a little bit more defining. I'm really loving the color of this one. I did this one a little more peachy and this one more just the rose madder. But we're going to go through and put some little detail lines on this now. I'm going to be using the Christy Rice number 2. It's a pretty small, precise brush. If it's not quite small enough, I'll find something else, but I'm going to start with this. So while these petals were still wet, I pulled a little bit of color up to give a little indication of the veining in these petals, but I want to just go a little bit more, do a tiny bit more detail to really bring this flower to life. So I'm just going back in with that same mixture of rose madder and what is this? New Gamboge. So it's just a touch of that yellow into that pink. And we want a thin consistency because I don't want this to be a dark, stark line on this flower. And I'm going to start right here with this first petal. If you did like print something out and sketch over it before, I always like take note of which way the lines are going on each petal and kind of do a couple of lines to indicate where those are going to go. So kind of look at that, look at your picture and see where all the lines are going and use that as your guide. So I'm just going to take some whoopsie, that's too much. So I'm going to tap my brush off. I don't want it to be that. There we go. Just fade it out. Get some water, fade that out. And if it's still too much, you can tap it off. So these lines I almost spilled the entire water on. That would have been bad. Just do some little veining detail lines up and out on this petal. Just to further give these petals the rounded shape that they need. Okay? So hopefully you can see the difference after you put just those little veining marks. So again, we're just going to go through and do all of that on these. Keep looking back to your reference and seeing which direction each petal goes. Just focus in on one section at a time. Don't get overwhelmed by the entire flower. Focus on one thing at a time. So let's go ahead and do that on all of these. So they're kind of like a seashell. They go out, up, and out on these lines. Make sure you're doing them different lengths as well. Don't make them all like the exact same length. Make some short ones, some longer ones. Again, this is very, very watered down paint, just doing really light marks. This section, I missed a dark section. This is supposed to be shadowed. Making sure to keep those lines with a little slight curve in them. If you have straight lines, it's going to look funky. So always keep in mind which direction these petals are going. It's looking good. You've got this, guys. You can do this. This is simple. Just take one section at a time and focus on that. Okay, and I'm going to go in and deepen up a couple of spots on this one. And we might wrap this particular flower up. Like this spot needs to be darker. So I actually want to, I'm going to take a little bit of the new gamboge color, and on the little stamens, again, I'm tapping off excess. I don't want too much. I want to put darker yellow on one side of them so they're a little bit more vibrant and dimensional. The other difficult part is to know when to stop adding detail, because we don't want it to look overworked, and I'm not going for hyper realistic. So knowing when to stop adding detail is important as well. And I feel like this flower, I'm at that point. So I need to stop adding detail to that. Before we go into the detail of this flower, I want to paint this leaf that I never got to. We've got one more leaf back here that did not get painted. Get our serpentine green. Taking a light amount first. Then I'm going to get a little bit more and go on this side of it. Okay. I really love that color. I might add a little bit of that yellowy corally mixture in this one. Let's see here. I feel like I need to work on the center first. I'm taking my square wash and I'm going to see what happens. What is going to happen if I take that same mixture and add it to what we've got going on? Okay, so I'm going to start in the center. Again, being careful to go around the yellow. Let's see here. We need to show some of these folds in these petals in the front. So we're just going to put some shadowing here and there for this, and we actually need to deepen behind this one so you can see it better. So let me sharpen up this petal here. Okay. Let's go ahead and just start putting these little lines in and see if that helps bring this to life here. So I'm taking some more rose madder in New Gamboge. I'm going to try to lean this more on the pink side for this one, since this one is all rose madder. So we're just going to feather out some veining lines. This petal right here, it needs more depth on this side, but I think it needs like an overall more depth and not just a line. Oops. So I'm going to actually wet this area. So this will blend wet on wet, and I'm going to put a little bit of this mixture on this side. Just to deepen that up. Okay, going back in the small brush and going to do some more veining lines over here. And And then just going all over the flower and doing the same details we did, just keeping in mind where those lines are and what direction they are headed. And then this one, we did some wet on wet pulling it through. So this one already has some of those lines. So just kind of reinforce a couple of them. All right, how is it looking? How are you feeling? Let's take our new gamboge and go on half of some of these marks in the center. Okay, all right. I think we're almost done. I'm trying to decide if I want to do any more to the background. It's pretty light. And I usually like to go one more touch darker. But I don't want to overpower these flowers and ruin it. So you can do a few things. You can splatter. I would typically do my drip background, but I actually don't feel like it with this one. And I will probably actually end up cropping this because of the frame I have. So it'll probably be cropped off right there anyways. I think that I'm going to call this one done. I really want to get this video up for you guys. I just saw a petal that the line goes all the way here. That's okay. Anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this series. I'm so sorry. I kind of ended on a kind of negative note. Yeah, yesterday was crazy. So if you stuck with me for the entire month, I am so grateful. Thank you so much for being here and painting along with us. We have lots of fun videos coming for the next month. I hope that you stick around to watch them. And if you want me to make this a regular series, maybe I do a flower once a week or something so we can paint together. Let me know in the comments below what you would like to see. But I think that's going to wrap it up for Watercolor Month, a flower every day. If you did enjoy this, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already and you want to see those future videos, hit that subscribe button down below and we will see you again next time. Bye. And yawning every time, every single time she yawns.
I don't know why.
Always.